lot of this is kind of like rumors, but they're pretty substantiated. They're not just like, thrown out there. So the first story comes by way of Polygon. Michael McWhirter writes, Telltale reportedly making Guardians of the Galaxy game for Marvel, which I think this is super smart. It's, Marvel wanting to have more games out there that are actually like solid games, and Guardians of the Galaxy I think is the best IP for this because it's the one that they can be the most creative with off the bat without having to worry about anything. And so he writes, Telltale Games is reportedly working on a game based on Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. According to details released by Actors Union SAG-AFTRA and a report from comicbookmovie.com. As part of SAG-AFTRA members' ongoing voice actor strike, the union released a list of video game titles, most of them referred to under their codenames that are both part of and not part of the strike. One of those documents reportedly listed Guardians of the Galaxy the video game, alongside Telltale's The Walking Dead Season 3. As in development at O'Farrell Enterprises, that company is registered under the name of Dara O'Farrell, the voice-over producer for The Walking Dead, Tales of the Borderlands, and other Telltale games. The document that outed Telltale's Guardians of the Galaxy appears to have been updated. The current version of that list of titles now refers to the project as Untitled Marvel Game, aka Blue Harvest. The alias being a reference to the working title of Star Wars Return of the Jedi, which I thought was pretty cool. And it seems like, Guardians has a lot of nods to Star Wars. So I just want to talk about this real quick. You just talked about playing Batman. Does a Guardians Telltale game get you excited? Because it definitely gets me excited.
Not particularly, just because I never watched that movie. I've been meaning to, actually.
God. Yeah.
But from from the trailers I've seen, it seems like a good fit for a Telltale game, much like Batman was. The only difference being, I don't know. So for Batman, those stories have been told a lot of different times in a lot of different ways. So it makes sense and it's acceptable when they take their own creative liberties and do different things with the story. So I don't know much about Guardians of the Galaxy, but if they try to do that with this game, is that going to be a huge issue for the universe they have built and everything like that? That's the only concern I guess I'd have. But
my biggest idea is the timing of this. This might be an interstitial between Guardians and Guardians 2. It might be like, here's what the gang was up to between the two movies.
So yeah, they're gonna
exercise some.
Yeah, they're gonna have to have thought that out really well and how that fits in with, because that's kind of the issue. Like video game. Movies, rather, video games about movies and superheroes kind of have, I feel like, are you gonna have like this, tell the exact same plot as the movie and play through it, or how, you know what I mean? There's always that weird kind of, how do you deal with it?
Here's the interesting thing too. So later on in this article, it talks about how Marvel plans to release a game with Telltale in 2017, and Guardians of the Galaxy 2 comes out in May. So maybe this comes out, if this comes out beat for beat, January to May leading up to, because that's one a month and it's 5 episodes, you'd assume. If that's like beat for beat leading up to the release of the movie, and you can play the whole game before the movie comes out that same month, that'd be huge. The marketing buildup for that would be excellent. And Telltale already has a track record, and it's all about Telltale games. I think are like ice cream, right? Everybody loves ice cream, but there's definitely certain flavors of ice cream that people love more than other flavors. So it's like, if you want people to get into ice cream, give them the one they like most, right? If you go to like a new like ice cream shop, it's like, oh yeah, you love Rocky Road, try their Rocky Road ice cream, and then try everything else, right? So I think Telltale is definitely one of those things, like, the more IP they get into, the better off they are, because once people try, I'm a huge Batman fan, never played a Telltale game, I'm going to play their Batman game, oh, I really like this, their storytelling's cool. I also like Borderlands, so I'm going to try out Tales of the Borderlands, though I never thought I'd play that, So I think Telltale, whether their games work 100% properly or not, they always are really good at storytelling, and to me that's super important. So I kind of, don't worry about all that stuff, or QTs aren't gameplay. I'm excited for this Guardians game, so we'll see. And it's a shame you haven't seen the movie yet, because it's fantastic.
I've been meaning to. I really have, and it just hasn't.
It's a really good time. It's not like a lot of the other Marvel movies where some of them are playful, but a lot of them there's a story, there's a certain serious tone, right? Guardians is just like, here are these characters you never heard of. You're just gonna have a good time. The soundtrack's amazing. It's solid.
Would it be a little easier to watch, like, having not watched the vast majority of Marvel movies? Like, is it better as standalone than, say, like Civil War, where if I were to watch that, I'd have a real lack of understanding of some stuff, even if it's still a good movie, but.
Yeah, so Civil War, definitely you get more out of it from watching the movies that preceded it. Guardians is just literally standalone, like Ant-Man. You don't have to watch any of the other movies.
Okay.
More so than Ant-Man, I would think too. It's literally not tied to anything else. Towards the end of the movie, they're like hint, hint, nod, nod, but the whole movie is self-contained. You'll really like it. It's a solid movie. Yeah, it's one of my favorite Marvel movies by far. So the next story here, Remedy Entertainment basically tweeted out a short video, 20-second video that we watched, and it says coming soon. And Sam Lake, the creative director over at Remedy, basically did this a really cheesy video that we saw, and he's like, new game, new info coming soon. Nothing too crazy if you're not familiar with Remedy Entertainment. They're the guys who did Quantum Break, Max Payne, Alan Wake, which Dom and I both love. And so there's nothing really to this story. We're going to get more info. Maybe that's at Game Awards. Maybe it's sooner. But the weirdest thing to me was at the end, Dom. We talked about this. That sound effect. It didn't sound like something from Alan Wake or Quantum Break or Max Payne. This might be a new IP. Something more like family friendly or something. It's weird, right? It doesn't fit everything else they've done.
Well, first off, I'm really irritated with all the trailers for games that we're getting, and events, and trailers to advertise the reveal event of a release date for a game. Like, it's just getting ridiculous in my head. But yeah, you're right. That noise at the end was a little odd, and it didn't sound like anything they put out in recent history. So yeah, like you said, Alan Wake, I absolutely loved. Obviously didn't play Quantum Break, but curious now. So as much as I say I was irritated with their marketing strategy, it's got my attention, I guess. So
exactly, and I mean this is having to do with games getting as big as they are. They're bigger than movies to some extent, and I have a real issue. We've talked about this before with movies of like here's a teaser that's a minute and a half long. That's not a teaser. That's a trailer.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I'm excited. The video's kind of cringy a little bit, but it's in a playful nature. I'm just excited to see what this is because I haven't finished Quantum Break. I need to get to that. If it's Quantum Break 2, that gives me more incentive to play the first Quantum Break and actually finish it. If it's Alan Wake 2, that gets me super excited. And if it's something Max Payne, I've never been into Max Payne, but as far as Remedy's progressed, I'm interested in that either way, right? Like, their games are beautiful. That's definitely one thing. Whether you like the game or not, they're definitely beautiful and they have a tone to them. So I'm excited to see what happens. We'll see. The next news here, this is probably heartbreaking to Dom when he heard this. Probably made him shed a single tear. This comes away with GameSpot. Oscar Deas over at GameSpot writes, Zelda Breath of the Wild will miss Nintendo Switch's launch. And this is a report. So The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild will miss the Nintendo Switch's March launch, according to one report. Emily Rogers, a blogger who has been proven correct on Nintendo Switch rumors in the past, the first reported the news from multiple sources, while Eurogamer says it has also heard the much-anticipated Zelda title will not be available come the Switch's launch. The report details Breath of the Wild's development, claiming localization for the game was becoming more work than anyone had anticipated. Rogers says her sources insist that localization for Breath of the Wild might not be finished until the end of December. After localization is complete, this game will require between at least 4 to 6 months of testing. If
December.
True,
December?
Yeah, this December.
Okay.
If true, this will place the game's release around mid-2017, which, unless the Switch is also delayed, would come after the console is in the hands of the public. Nintendo's most recent estimate for Breath of the Wild's launch was simply 2017, while the Switch is confirmed to be coming out in March. Many had assumed the Zelda title would release alongside the new console, as it has previously been delayed multiple times, and was confirmed to be releasing simultaneously on Wii U and NX, later to be revealed the Switch. Fuel was added to the fire when Link Amiibo were rumored to be launching March 4th. It remains to be seen whether Breath of the Wild's simultaneously Wii U Switch launch will also be affected, or even if the rumor is true at all. GameSpot has contacted Nintendo for comment. We'll update if we hear more. This story hasn't been updated. So the big thing here to me, I'm not a huge Zelda guy, but I'm really thinking about getting the Switch if they don't completely screw up the messaging come January 12th. This doesn't bother me that much, but this is coming from a guy who's not a diehard Zelda guy. And the reason I say that is I believe that if this isn't a launch title, Mario is. I think one of these games has to be a launch title for Switch, right? Zelda doesn't sell the same that Mario does, but they definitely are great bundles for people, right? And if one isn't the launch title, the other one certainly needs to be. And personally, if that Mario game is Sunshine 2 or Galaxy 3 or just 64 2, whatever that is, that I'm super excited for that game more than anything. So if this isn't a launch title, in my mind I'm like, well, that means the Mario game has to be a launch title, and I'm super stoked about that. That being said, I think the biggest issue here, whether you're a Zelda fan or not, I think this is more so a shock and a hit to Wii U players who maybe might not get the Switch right away, but might have to suffer the delay anyways, which sucks. So,
and if localization was truly the bottleneck here, or what's causing the delay, then that wouldn't affect both systems differently, right? Like they have to localize it the same exact way for both systems.
Yep.
If I'm thinking of this correctly, so and we'll never know the answer to this question, but it would be interesting to find out how much the NX played a role in all the delays for the Wii U version of this game.
The interesting thing too is I don't know if they put their handhelds in more markets than their console. So if there's more markets, that means there's a lot more localization. So this is super hampered by the Switch because it is a handheld console hybrid. So I'd assume you'd have to localize it for more places than the Wii U, and that's just total conjecture. I have no idea, but yeah. What do you think if Zelda isn't at launch? Are you okay with that? Are you okay with it being a later game down the line if Mario is a launch title and this is just kind of like an interstitial for the year?
I mean, no, I'm not okay with it. I've been waiting for this game for so long. I've been not buying a Wii U in anticipation of this game, and then all the Switch stuff happens. I'm like, well, I might as well wait for that. And now it's delayed again, and I mean, I'm going to buy it no matter what.
Yeah.
So but it doesn't mean it's okay. Yeah, it's a bummer.
It is a bummer. This is another issue of like waiting so long to do your second announcement. Is like all of these rumors are going to start flooding out, and you're not controlling your message again, Nintendo. Like, we love the Switch, but all this room here for people to start. And Emily Rogers is pretty spot on with her rumors. Like, she's batting a positive percentage. Not everything she says is correct, but a pretty substantial amount. So we'll see. Hopefully for Dom, it's not true. Hopefully she's completely wrong. The next story here comes out of Polygon. Sorry to Jordan, but Allegra Frank writes, Persona 5 delayed until April. Rest in peace, Valentine's Day. So, everyone was expecting Persona 5 in the United States come Valentine's Day of 2017, but Allegra Frank writes, Persona 5 won't launch until April 4th, Atlas announced Wednesday. The publisher revealed the delay during a live stream, which also saw the debut of the first English-language gameplay of the upcoming role-playing game. Originally set for February 14, 2017 release, Persona 5 won't make it into PlayStation 3 or PlayStation 4 stateside for another several weeks. Side note, this game's coming out on PS3? That's weird.
Yeah.
That's in spite...
Well, it's because PS3s are still really big in Japan.
That's true.
Like, a lot of people still have them turned on, and that's the biggest market for this game. So
that's true. That's in spite of the fact that Japanese fans have had their hands on the game since mid-September. To compensate for the later release date, Atlas will receive Japanese studio alongside the international release. Atlas will receive Japanese audio alongside the international release. I kept reading studio, and I was like, that sentence doesn't make sense. It will be available as free downloadable content according to a post on the PlayStation blog. The English language version was originally going to launch without Japanese vocal options, so this alteration should appease some otherwise disappointed fans. Atlas is also giving away a free Persona 5 PS4 theme for the next 24 hours, which is irrelevant to the people listening because this is going to be way after the fact. So you're playing through Persona 4 Golden here and there. Jordan loves the Persona games. I'm not a Persona fan, but say I was, I don't think, obviously it sucks when a game you want to play is delayed. That's besides the point, right? That's not a talking point, really, I don't think anymore. If you're excited for a game that gets delayed, it sucks, right? But I think it's good to get that game out of that early that Q1 2017, It's not too far out, but like, it was kind of packed there with a lot of things, You have Gravity Rush 2, and you have Horizon, and you have Resident Evil and all these other games. It's fine. Persona 5 doesn't need to get eaten alive by a lot of other games and give it its moment to shine, I think, personally. What do you think, Dom, about this delay?
Yeah, you're probably right. Like, it might be a better time for it to come out. And ultimately, I think the people that are like most into these games are used to dealing with delays and things coming out in Japan months earlier and that kind of stuff. Not that makes it okay or any better, but
And this is a different situation too, because this isn't a global release. This is one market already has it, and they've had it for a while. Yeah. So, yeah, it's unfortunate. That's what happens with some JRPGs. Is you're not the first market to get it, so you kind of have to wait and hope that it comes out in a decent amount of time. It's the same thing with anime. You have to wait like a year and a half. The English subs and dubs are barely coming out for Dragon Ball Super now. Barely. And that show's already been on in Japan for like a year and a half, so it's kind of something you have to deal with.